Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my July wrap up. July in the beginning went absolutely terribly, where I was behind on my reading like every single day and I was mega stressed out. But then suddenly I caught up on all my reading and read way too much, which usually tends to happen. So I read around, I need to double check, 34 books, and I feel like that should be wrong because I don't know, it seems insane. But okay, so we're gonna quickly, as per usual, go through the books. Good times. So my first read for the month was Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This is Secret Project 3 and I read this on my Kindle when it came out. I got this yesterday in the mail for the deluxe edition and it literally like, I haven't taken it out of the plastic yet. This one follows Yumi, who is kinda a holy person that can summon spirits that then do tasks for the people. And then we follow a painter who is named Painter, and he can use his skills to paint to be able to fight these nightmares. And then their past connects and you're just like, what? So you need to find out like why and how. Now I actually have a full review on my channel for this book, which is spoiler free, so I will leave that linked down below. But basically it is a story that carries itself on the romance and you caring about these two main characters being together. And I just don't think that Brandon Sanderson, that his talents lie with writing romance and like connection between characters in a romantic way. I feel like I never cared about his romantic relationships in his books in general, and that same stands for this one. So you need to kind of care about the romantic relationship to care about this story, and I just didn't. So that kind of was in the way for me to fully enjoy it. And while there is like cool world stuff that Brandon Sanderson brings into his books in it, it's not enough of it. And I kind of read him for like plot twists and world building, and yes, there were plot twists in the end, but I just felt like they came a bit too late in a way where I was like, I'm already done with the story in a way, which is a bit sad to say because Brandon Sanderson is like my favorite author. But like I personally didn't love this. While like it is a stunning book and had really cool ideas, I just was kind of bored after a while. So yeah, I ended up giving like 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron. This is the news by the author, and it basically is set in this camp where they use the camp to like scare people of like things happening there. Well, people like know they're supposed to be scared. They get shit scared because they think murders are actually happening there. So it's kind of like a prop entertainment stuff. But then murders actually start happening and we follow our main character trying to figure out like why and like survive. And it's a very, very short book where I felt the suspense was really great at keeping you going. Like I got chills down my back and I really like enjoyed it. When like things started to play out and we found out why, I was just a bit like, I didn't really care. But the ride there was great and I like enjoyed it overall and I would recommend it. So yeah, I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Making a Scene by Constance Wu on audiobook. This one I just picked out because I've been wanting to read it for a while and it wasn't scribed. So this is Constance Wu memoir of like how she grew up and like how her acting life have been, her romantic life, etc. and stuff happening in her life in general. And I really enjoyed her voice and like how she wrote, and I thought the stories were very interesting. I especially enjoyed it a lot in the beginning because I was like really engaged, but after a while I feel like the stories or the essays or whatever you can call them were very jumbled and like they didn't feel like they connected nicely together. I'm not saying that they had to do this, but I just felt a bit like put out of the story sometimes. I felt like some of the parts she could have written more about. I'm not saying that just because, you know, like crazy Asians, just because like she got very known for that. She had to write loads about it, but I definitely feel like we could have seen more about it as well. But overall it's writing about her experiences in Hollywood, her sexual harassment that happened there, and about her life, which she's gone through a lot of different stuff. And I enjoyed it, while like I felt a bit disjointed from it when I came to the end. So I gave it, I would say 3.5, but I rounded up to 4 stars. Then I did my next reading Booktober's favorite books, where I did back on the books. So I have leave that link down below for that vlog. But the first one I read for that was You by Caroline Katniss. This one follows Joe, who is a stalker, serial killer, and he gets a new target. Basically, he gets obsessed with this girl named Beck, and then he wants to be her boyfriend very badly. And the book is really good at kind of gaslighting you into being on Joe's side, because like we are tricked by him to thinking that the other person is doing bad things. Well, like that's nothing compared to what Joe does, but that is kind of overshadow and not dwell into it as deeply, because like he, I guess, kind of zones out when he does it. So I think it's good at like you sympathizing with Joe while at the same time you know that he's completely in the wrong, and I think it does a good job of that. And I think the show also shows that, while we're like, again, we go over like the bad stuff he does and like rationalize it in a way, and like the other person is super bad because they cheated, you know what I mean? And I really enjoyed the show, and I like the book more than I thought I would, but at the same time I also thought I would like it more. So I either thought I would hate it or like really love it, but I just fell in between, so I gave it like 2 out of 5 stars. Then in between all that, I did read Flying Witch Volume 11 by Shihiro Ishizuka, and this one follows a witch called Makoto, who basically goes to this small town to just be a witch's apprentice and practice her spells with her family, because she goes to her cousin and their family. And then it's just like cute slice of life stuff happening. She just practiced being a witch, and really enjoying this volume. It's very sweet, things are happening. I feel like it's a story that could just go on forever and I wouldn't mind. Right now it's like 1 volume a year or something, and I'm just enjoying it and its sweetness for what it is. Then the next one for Becca's vlog was Lord Olympus Volume 1 by Richard Smythe. So this one is a Hades and Persephone retelling, where we kind of in a way modern days, but not completely, because it seemed like when we went to Earth that they're not in modern days. I'm a bit confused, but this was originally a webtoon. That's now how it's been released physically, and it has beautiful, quite, I would say, different kind of art that like what I'm used to seeing. I'm trying to show you. It's just very like pretty and different, and I really liked it. It made me feel a lot of things, and I don't like emotions, but it made me feel a lot of things. And yes, I'm shipping them, and I want to see like how they get together and what's gonna happen. There's a lot of darkness in it as well, very sad things happening to the characters. Like it feels depressive, and when the colors kind of changes with the mood, it was just stunning way to do it, and I really enjoyed it. I almost gave it 5 stars, but it became like a 4.5. Then the next one for that vlog was the Ex Hex by Erlyn Sterling. This is a second chance romance where we have our main characters breaking up, and then we skip like, I don't remember how many years later, 9 years, and then they reunite again because he's coming back to her town, and then basically they're also witches, so they need to solve this thing that has happened. And it is a bit cute like between them, but it's also like, I mean, cute with the witches stuff, etc. It's like sweet and like not like big in the magic department, but it's like it knows what it's doing, and it was sweet. But at the same time, I realized the second chance romances bases itself on the fact that you care about their relationship outside what has happened in the book. Like they talk about, oh, we were together that one time and now we're meeting again, but since you don't actually experience the first time they were together, I just don't care. I realized, and I don't know, I just didn't like how they were like, oh my god, it's been 9 years. 9 years is a long time. And at the same time, when they saw each other, they were like, oh my god, we were in a bag at once. I was like, dude, what? I mean, I guess it can be natural, but also it felt weird, so I can't decide. But yes, I just didn't care that much about like them, which again, maybe I need to like really love it. I felt fine by it. I gave it like 3 stars. Then I read The Love Hypothesis by Ailey Halesomwood, which is like super popular, super known book, and I'm like, wow. But this is a Rilo fanfic, and it follows this woman who is very smart and is a PhD candidate. I forgot the words. And then she fake dates one of the other like professors in another department, so that her best friend will date a dude that she was on like 1 date with. And then obviously they fell in love, and I liked them much more than I thought I would. Actually, I started to care a lot about them. At first I was just like, ew, but then I was just like, by the end I was like, fine, they are a bit cute, they can get that. At the same time, when I think about it now, it's not like amazing or revolutionary or something like that, but it doesn't need to be. Like, it was sweet, it knew what it was doing, it was funny, but like I didn't like love this as I loved some other romances. So I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. And then the last book I read for like vlog was Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. So this one follows a main character who is one of the last nightmares, which means that she can see people's fears and kind of give them hallucinations of it. She's also been looking for a brother who has been missing for quite a long while now. I don't remember, it was like 1 or 2 years. And then this fake creature shows up and says that he knows where her brother is, and if she marries him, he will take her to him. So she does this, and that starts a lot of other events, obviously. And at first I was just like, I don't love it. But now when I'm thinking more and more about it, I actually really, really enjoyed it. I thought that the war was very, very fun, and just how things played out was very interesting. I just really enjoyed like the characters as well, and like they definitely had a good connection. However, I also feel like it was a bit annoying in the department where she asked a question and no one wanted to answer, and she did it like 20 times and no one wanted to answer her questions. It's just obviously to keep us from like knowing stuff, like the readers. I just hate that when that is done over and over, because it's just like a cheap way to keep information for us. Not that I would know how to keep information for us in another way, it was just a thought. So that was a bit annoying. It reminded me like back in like Twilight, Bella Swan doesn't get any answers over and over again. But at the same time, it was a good paranormal romance. I actually enjoyed myself a lot, and I want to see where there's a relationship and like where these characters go. Things and elements in it that we don't have answers for, I'm really curious about. That was set up so well. So I need to know. I need to know. And I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go. So yeah, I gave it initially a 3.5, but I think I would round it up to 4 now. Then I read H.M. Magus Bride by Kori Yamasaki, Volume 3. This one is a reread because I'm trying to continue with the series. And they basically follow Chisa, who is bought by this mage called Elias, who basically wants her to be his wife, but also she finds out that she has magical abilities and start training in that. It sounded really bad when I explained it like that, but it's much more wholesome and cute than you would think. She has been abused all her life and finally finds a safe home. So yeah, I actually don't know how it all ends up, because again, I haven't read more in like years, which is why I'm rereading, because I can't remember anything. But it's a bit weirder this time around than the first time when I read it. The first time I read it, I completely loved it, and I'm just like, this is so weird, but I'm just gonna read it anyway, and I'm enjoying it okay. Not as much as the first time, which is a bit sad, but maybe it's because I had high expectations since I already read it. I don't know. Then I read Endless War by Daniel L. Jensen. This one I found out was released in the end of May, and I didn't know. And then I obviously went and bought it and listened to it on audio. It's not out physically yet. This one is the fourth one in the Bridge Kingdom series. Third and the fourth book follow a different couple than the first. But the first one basically follows Laura, who is sent to kill his prince, and then she falls in love with him instead. And it's like a lot of like kingdoms and politics between them. Because it's like the Bridge Kingdoms, or the Bridge Kingdom is one of them, but it affects all of them, and there's war, etc, etc, a lot of drama. So in this one we follow another couple. I love this couple much more than like the first one. I actually love them so much. I especially love Karis. I don't know why. I want to squeeze his cheeks because he's a bit stupid, but I love him for it. And this one made me squeal and die, and it was just amazing. I loved it, okay? I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because honestly, the emotions I had reading it, I can't compare for anything I read for a while. I just really, really loved it. I feel like what bugged me the most about it was that I was waiting for a certain thing to happen, and then it never happened. We just waited for like 400 years, and it didn't never happen in a way that I wanted, which was so annoying. But the conclusion and how we like came to the end, and I just loved it. It was actually much more like action-packed and politics-packed than like just like the smutty parts, which like I appreciated, but I was just like, that's just buying a bit. I just think that author did this so well, and I just love this one so much because I love Karis. I can't help it. I love them together, and I love seeing how the story played out and how we developed the world. And now there's a new couple in the next 2, and I'm really curious to see if I will enjoy them as much, but I'm very excited for them. Then I read Son of the Storm by Suyu Davis Okunbowa. So I will lie if I say that I understood everything that happened in this book. Honestly, it was very like confusingly written for me at least, and I had a hard time like grasping the story. But basically it follows these 2 characters that together find out stuff so terrible that can like change the empire that they live in. And I don't know what else to tell you. I feel like I had a hard time grasping what I was reading. It might just be me. I might need to reread it as well. But I just didn't love it because I didn't understand everything. Or I just felt like it was written very like up in the air where I couldn't grasp everything. Which is, again, maybe my fault, but it's how I felt. So yeah, but again, might need to reread this, etc. But I did read through the whole thing, And yeah, I don't really feel like I could give it a rating, but I gave it 3 stars. Then I finally finished A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is an audiobook that had been going for a long while. This is obviously the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, and not at all what I expected. Now, I will tell you, I did love it because I love the world, and I love how they are written, and I love how like they feel like big story epics in a way. But I was just shocked in a way that it was completely the same as the first book, like Priory, because I thought that we was set maybe 1,000 years before the events of Priory. And if you read Priory, I don't know if you know the timeline, but either way, I thought it was set 1,000 years before, or before that even. I hadn't like read a synopsis. I expected kind of a different world, but we basically had the exact almost same world as in Priory. So like, yes, there was some stuff happening in here that do affect how the world is today in Priory today, but at the same time it was literally the same plot, literally kind of almost the same characters, just that they had different names. And I was just like, what? I'm reading the same story again. And I was bugged by it, honestly, because it was just like, why are we writing the same story one more time? But I loved it, and I gave it like, I rounded up to 5 stars. It doesn't make any sense, I know. I was bugged by the fact that it was the same story. Oh, it felt like the same story, but I also loved that story. So for me, I was okay with it. I don't know. I think it was done very, very well, and it was a really good book. I just think, again, that I wanted a different world longer set in past. I don't even know how to say it, so it doesn't like feel like the same book, but it wasn't, but I still liked it. I don't know. Okay, then I read Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is the first book in the Danlan Dynasty series, and it is a series we are about reading on my Patreon, so we started in July. And I'll be honest, again, I was a bit confused because I felt like, again, it was written very much like so many events were happening, and then we just need to scramble together to understand the different factions of this world. It is basically set in this world where you have different dynasties. I was gonna say, like, where the world on like it's set on different islands, and where like the islands are breaking apart and unite together, etc. And there's like different emperors who's trying to do this. There's different wars with different factions, and we have 2 main characters that come from different places that end up being, I was gonna say, in control of different sides, and then need to fight each other. I think that the concept of the series is really cool. It was just how it was written in a way as maybe like a history book, where it's many events, and it made me hard for me to follow like exactly what each event meant in a way. I might just be the stupid one. It made me feel a bit stupid, to be honest, and I feel like I need to read it and like literally take notes to like actually grasp 100% all the different small events that was happening. At the same time, what I got was, it was a cool story. I enjoyed it, but also, again, a bit confused. Again, I can blame it on myself, maybe. We are just continuing to reread. I'm just YOLOing and reading the next book to see if it makes more sense then. And usually when I read fantasy and don't understand, I just keep reading, and then it eventually clicks something up in my brain. So hopefully that will happen. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I will give it like 3.5, not completely a 4. I feel like I explained it bad, and I feel like this video is making me look stupid, but it's okay. Then I read The Iron Wolf, which was a reread, and The Silver Throat by C.A. Patterson, which comes out the 5th of October. I got an arc of this. I did a whole vlog rereading the first one and reading now the sequel, and I absolutely love them. It's an amazing series. It follows Yuva, who is from this family of blood readers that she has left because she knows it all a lie. And then she is now like turning back towards them because her family's being threatened. And she needs to find out this secret her family has kept for many years to, I don't know, protect herself, protect her family. I don't know what to tell you, but like, it is a wow. It is a wow. And the second book is not at all what I expected. Like, at all, but I loved it, and that is amazing. Like, I thought certain things would happen, none of that stuff happened, except the thing in the end. And I actually had the best time reading these again, or reading the first one again, I mean, and reading the sequel and having an arc, and I'm like, wow. So yeah, it was an amazing time, and I gave them both 5 stars. So you should check out that vlog where I literally die. It's spoiler free, so you should check it out. Then I read Spy Family, Volume 9 by Tetsuya Endo. This one follows Master Spy Twilight, who needs a undercover family for this operation. So he gets a wife who is an assassin, but he doesn't know, and a child who is a telepath, but doesn't know this. Obviously, the telepath knows what they are, but they don't know what she knows, because they don't know she's a telepath. And it's this whole crazy string of events that happens, and we have different missions and undercover operations, and it's just the most and bestest, that's not a word, best thing in the world, and I love it so much, and I just enjoyed so much to continue the story, and I cannot wait for the next volume because it brings so much joy into my life, and that's all I want. I love this especially, and I ended up giving this volume specifically 5 out of 5 stars. It doesn't always happen. I usually tend to give 4. When I really love them, I give them 5, and this volume hit home in all the places I wanted. I think at this point I had finished my TBR, so now I wanted to read stuff for my library bingo, where like I wrap up the whole bingo thing in another video, so now I'm just wrapping up the books one more time, which is a bit weird, but I will leave the link down below to the bingo challenge and what I'm talking about. But the first book that I like picked out specifically for that, some I just filled in, but this I picked out specifically for it, is Gul Book or Yellow Book by Shaka. This one follows a main character who gets a job in the government in Norway, and then a lot of like other stuff is affecting her life, like he has a girlfriend who is a bit, I would say, maintenance, and a father with anxiety, and then also the 22nd of July happens, which is the day where a terrorist attack happened in Norway. So that also affects his life, obviously, and he's just juggling all of this while also living as a not white person in Norway. It was very interesting. I liked it overall. Like, it made me think a lot, and it is so weird sometimes reading books set in Norway. They're like, oh, I'm going to Rima 1000, and I'm like, okay, that's where I'll go and buy food. It's just weird for me because I don't have to read that many Norwegian books. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I already wrapped them up in the other video, so I'm not gonna be like super, not that I am, but you get what I mean. Then I read Tung Tidstale by Nielsen. I don't know how to translate it, like heavy time tale maybe. And I bought this at the library, and I am returning it, obviously, but I was going to say that I might end up buying a copy. This one is actually set in my city, and the author is from my city as well, and I was like, wow, because I realized that when they mentioned places where I go, and I was like, oh, okay, I know where we are now. So this one follows a mother who has a very heavily disabled child, and then she's struggling to get support from the government to support her with like time off and like getting other help from the government, and then we just see her struggles trying to like call them every single day, and also just other things that they experienced that people have not listened to them, or people have not like helped them like they should have gotten the help with. And it's obviously just a very like sad and heavy book, and I felt like it was focused a lot on the negative in her life. So I don't know like how others would like disabled people in their life would feel about it. That I can't speak for, but I felt like it focused a lot on the negative, but then it was also like small like calm moments as well, but it was a lot of like on the heavy as well. It was mostly though criticized towards like how our government like doesn't help people properly, which is like very fair. It was sad, but it was a bit eye-opening as well to think about like how people are not being listened to. But again, I don't know how some people would feel about it. They might feel a bit like this is very negative and like put a lot of things in bad light. So I don't know. I did end up like liking it still because I felt like it did well what they want to do as well. But yeah, it was a heavy book to read in general and to talk about. Then I read Bungo's Deluxe Volume 15 by Kafka Sukiri and Sanga Harukuba, which basically follows this armed detective agency where they have people with abilities and they go and sort out cases with other people with abilities. Right now we have this thing happening. I actually don't know what's going on. I cannot remember for the life of me what has happened like in the last 2-3 volumes. Like I don't know where we are. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'd lost the thread of what is going on, and now I'm just reading it for vibes because I love Dasai. I love the story and I love like the characters, etc., and I love like the world. I just don't know what plot we're in, and I feel like I should read them right after one another, but that's not how I read my manga. But it was just like I was just reading this and I was just like, where are we? Who are we? It was just a bit funny actually. Just not that much. It's fine. I also know what's going on. I just don't remember how we got there. But yeah, I would say it's one of my favorites and I love them so much. But yeah, I love them, okay? Then I read Hope is Lonely by Kim Seung-hee. So this one I read for like this thing, but then I also could read it for the bingo challenge thing. And again, I feel like now I've repeated myself so many times. I don't feel like you could just read a poetry collection. I feel like you need to go through it and think about the poems more. Maybe do some research, maybe think about the words or what they mean more. I just did read through it though, and I feel like maybe that's not the way to read poetry, but that's just how I did it. So I feel like I didn't get as much out of it as maybe as I would have if I read poetry properly. I don't know, people can read whatever they want in the way they want, but I just felt like I can't remember the poems, you know, but I don't know, I'm not supposed to sit here and memorize them either. This edition is a bit cool because like we have the Korean on one side and the English on the other side, so you can see like how the sentences are split. I obviously don't read Korean, but for the people who do, it looks very cool. I liked it. I thought some of it was actually pretty great. So yeah, but I feel like also it's hard to rate, you know. Then I read Berserk Deluxe Edition Volume 7, which I have a full video on my channel for, by Kentaro Miura. And Berserk follows Guts, who is a swordsman who goes around finding these demons. So we go back in time to find out like why and how the world became like this. It's one of the saddest and best stories I have ever read. I honestly, right now, is like one of the favorite mangas like ever. Like it's #1 on my favorite list. It took places of other things because I cannot help but love it so deeply. I am so invested and into this, and I'm terrified for what will happen, but I love it. I love it so much. I have given them all 5 stars, and I couldn't recommend it more, but also just know that it has some very heavy and very dark things in it. So then you know that. But yeah, I love it to pieces, okay? Then I read Is Mother Dead? Or Er mor død by Vigdis Hjorth. This is for the Bingo Challenge. And this one follows a woman who is coming back to Norway after being away for like 30 years. She has lost all contact with her family and is now trying to contact them again, but they don't want to speak to her for reasons. And then she becomes very creepy and stalkery, and I didn't really get the point of this book. It was very weird. It was very repetitive. I personally didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. Then I read Where the Drangers Go by Shannon McGuire. I needed a short book for the Bingo Challenge, so I ended up picking up this. This is in the Wayward Children series, which follows, you know, kids coming back from fantasy worlds and need to deal with their everyday lives. They can go to this home that Eleanor runs, which is like very sweet and cute, and they all deal and well. But they can also go to this terrible other place, and this is where this book is set, in this terrible other place that they have never like explored for in the other books, just mentioned, and I love that we got to explore it. And we have a main character, Cora, who is a mermaid, and she's fat, and she is stunning and fierce, and I love her. And then we just have this story about her. It is a good time. I really enjoyed it. I really love the series, and I need to get to the rest. Then I read Killing Stalking Volume 1 by Kogi. I know that this series is absolutely terrible. I think it started as a webtoon, and it basically follows a stalker and a serial killer, and I don't even know. They are entrapped with each other. It's terrible. It is gruesome. It doesn't follow anything nice. I actually read this on the net like a billion years ago, and I remember when I was reading it, I was like, oh my god, I already read this. Because, yeah, I don't know. But then I stopped reading it because I was like, and now I'm reading it. And when I was reading it, I felt a bit like, what is this? It's absolutely terrible, but it's good, but it's terrible and gruesome and not nice at all. And I read it. I don't even know what to say or how to rate it, but just know that if you have triggers, this has like everything. That's all I got to say. Then I have Jeg snakker om det hele tida, or I speak about it all the time, by Kamara Lundsayuf. This one again was for the Bingo Challenge, and this one follows Kamara writing about her life and experiences as being black in Norway. And it is terrible. It is gruesome. It is a bit humoristic, but just done so incredibly well. And I loved it, and I didn't expect to love it. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because it was honestly amazing. And I loved it a lot. Okay. Just how the words were used and how it was done. Just brilliant. Then I picked up A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall. So this one, we have a trans main character that lives in like the Regency times. She then reconnects with her old best friend, and he at first doesn't know who she is. But then they fall in love, and it's very sweet and humoristic and fun and gentlemanly and dramatic, as you would want from a book like this. And I really enjoyed it. I have a good time with it. It did what it wanted to do, and I really liked it. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, which was the Facing His pick for July. And this is a classic sci-fi where we have a main character that is a scientist that is going to like these different planets, and then he discovers stuff there. And it was a bit confusing, but I liked it a lot still, because Ursula Le Guin just writes beautifully. Did I understand everything that was happening and what was the point of this book? No. Did I really, really enjoy it? Yes. So, I don't know. We are discussing it in a live show and I had a good time. Yay. Ursula is a brilliant writer, okay? But she's just smarter than me. That's just how it is. Then I read My Dress Up Darling, Volume 6 by Shinji Fukuda. This one follows a main character that is really good at like making costumes and stuff. And then this girl wants to cosplay and then he makes cosplay costumes for her. They kind of have feelings for each other as well. And then we just meet other people that cosplay, etc. It is very like, it's in a way sweet, but it also like is rated mature because it's very like, has a lot of fan service as well. And I'm not loving the story. I just don't care about the story. I am gonna keep reading it because I cannot stop when I read 6 volumes or something. That's how I function. But it's like, the story is not that interesting. I care about the characters a bit and I like to see the beautiful cosplays. But I just don't care a lot. So it's like whatever. It's like in the middle of the tree. There was a cross-dresser in here though, and I thought that was really fun that we met like someone else and someone different. I like it okay. Then I read Norsk, which is a text by many different Norwegian authors and like politicians. And they all like surrounded this debate that was on TV or like in a paper and then TV. And then like this band that randomly a lot of people mention, and I just didn't care. I just didn't care about this debate and I watched on TV. I don't care about this band. And I thought it was more about like text of like what makes a Norwegian or like a Norwegian, or like how they felt they weren't Norwegian enough, or like stuff like that. And there's small parts of this in it, but it just didn't deliver like what I thought it did. It was too much about like arguing with each other in a way, because it was like text taken from different places. I just didn't care. I just didn't like this at all. I felt like the point of it is like has good points obviously, and parts of it had interesting things, but it just didn't give anything. It didn't give the discussions that I thought it would bring to me, I guess, and like thoughts. So yeah, it didn't make me think, it just made me annoyed actually. I wish it was more interesting for me, but a lot of people have enjoyed it as well though. So like yeah, it has important points, but it just delivers in a way that I was like meh. So I give it actually like 2 stars. Don't look at me. Then I started One Piece, where I read volume 1, 2, and 3 by Ichiro Oda. And I have a whole video on my channel where I read through this, so you should check that out. But basically, I loved it a lot. I am really enjoying it so far. And I'm very excited to start this journey and read more of them. I think it was very cute and wholesome and funny. And I just kind of wait to this chaotic journey. So yeah, it was very enjoyable. And again, check out my video where I started. Yay! Then I read Whale by Seon Myung Kwan, which is really weird. I really don't know how to describe this book. It's a bit generational. We have different characters living for many years and their kids, etc. Not that many years. It was like 2 generations maybe. And we follow their life. It is so weird. Like, just the events. I don't know how to express to you, like, the way they played out. Everything. It was just... It was so weird. It was really good, but it was so weird. I don't really actually know how I feel about it. But, like, it was a bit like magical realism-y. And it was also just bizarre. I really don't know how to explain it. Because, like, the events just takes place over so long time. And it's just... It's so weird. It was a lot of foreshadowing for what will come. So I liked that part. It was very intriguing. And you're definitely curious to see what will happen. But one of the most unique and weird books I read. I honestly know I'm not explaining it well. Because I don't know how to explain it. You have to experience it to know. That's what I got to say. Then I read Window Towards the Woods by Maria B. Buchneberg. So this one I picked up on a whim from my library. And I'm reading it now for this vlog. And it basically follows a girl that lost her dad when she was younger. And now she's like thinking a lot about it and how it is affecting her life today. So then like these 2 different like times in her life. A lot about like how her trauma has affected her and like what she's gonna do now, etc. And it was like, it was okay. But it didn't like feel dwell deep enough for me to like remember the book really well or like love it forever or something like that. It was an okay read where like I won't regret I read it, but I didn't love it either. So yeah, I gave it like 3 stars. And the last book I read for the month was Solo Leveling by Shugong, which is following the weakest hunter of mankind, who then is not as weak anymore. And then we just have his journey hunting, and I was gonna say killing, that sounds a bit bad, but like going to the dungeons, earning money, having the certain goals. It's also like about other stuff happening in the world, like hunters, politics, etc., and other mysteries in the world as well. So it's very, very interesting. I really, really love it. It is so much fun. And I'm so glad that I'm reading it. Obviously it exists as light novels, but I just decided to go the graphic novel route apparently. And I'm having no regret with my choice. They are so good and I'm loving them so much. So very, very fun concept, and I'm really, really excited to see how the story will play out. And that was all the books that I read in July. I felt like dying a bit because there were so many books to talk about. But it's fine, it's over now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a tree emoji down below if you enjoyed this and on of the forest thingy. And you should see me soon in a new one. Thank you so much for watching, all your support. And you should see me soon in a new video. Goodbye!